and welcome again to the Think Bamboo podcast, the show where we unpack the personal and professional journeys from some of the most interesting minds in marketing and business. And today we have none other than Kerry McFarlane. Kerry, for those that are unfamiliar with you, would you like to give yourself an introduction?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited. It's nice to be on this side.
Yeah.
My name is Kerry McFarlane. I am a marketing recruiter and director at 920. We're a specialist recruitment agency, so I spend my days helping predominantly in-house and predominantly business-to-business marketing teams find new hires. That's a kind of traditional what people expect a recruiter to do, and that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. There's other things that we get involved in, or that I get involved in as well, that I'm very passionate about. So like employer value propositioning and retention strategies for HR and recruitment teams to like help people to streamline processes internally and things like that. I also volunteer for a charity called Quarriers, and support underprivileged young people with employability. I feel like social bias is something that goes on a lot within the corporate world and the recruitment space, and it's something that I'm really passionate about speaking about. I don't think it gets spoken about enough, so I absolutely love getting involved with the charity as well. And then out with work, I feel like I'm a complete millennial cliche. Like, I have two dogs that are my babies. I love going to the latest coffee shop that's going to overcharge me for a flat white. I love going on holiday. Like, I work very hard so that I can then go on holiday, and I try and get away, not necessarily out the country, but have like 5 trips a year. So yeah, that is me. I studied marketing and communication before jumping straight into sales, but I guess I've sort of come slightly full circle in that I use marketing communication in my job a lot these days. But yeah, that's me.
What are the 5 that you got lined up this year? What are the locations that you've got in mind?
Okay, so I was in the south of Spain at the start of the year, and I've already been up to Arnhem that I go all the time because that's where I'm from. And I have a bit of a crossroads because my friend and I have applied to be on Race Across the World. So if I get on Race Across the World,
Class!
I will only be going on one more holiday. And this means that my other holidays with like my partner are potentially on hold. So we're going to Italy in a couple of weeks. We're going to Puglia in a couple of weeks. Hopefully then I'll be going on Race Across the World, but I've not heard back yet, so I don't know how that's looking. It's one of these like, we'll phone you if we want you. If not, then I'm going to Brighton in July, Paris in September, and then my partner and I really want to do a big trip to South America. So that'll be the kind of like big one, which would be end of the year. So that's what I've got lined up. Yeah.
There's a good bit of variety across all of that, from like the up north, and then you're going over to like the Europe. I mean, Paris is absolutely beautiful. I'm a big fan of Les Paris. It's lovely.
Yeah.
I've never been to South America though. That is on the bucket list. Let's go.
Yeah. I think like just the whole like Brazil vibe, like I think it'd be incredible. We went to Japan and we did like 3 weeks in Japan and South Korea a couple of years ago, and it became our entire personality. It's the best place I've ever been. So now I need to go somewhere else so I can find something else to talk about, because like, we've morphed into those people that all they do is, again, another cliche, you go to Japan and then all you do is talk about Japan.
Well, I want to be one of those people because I really want to go to Japan. That's that we've got 2 little ones that are like, right now the furthest they're going. I'll say the furthest. It's still quite far. Is Greece. So they've got that far, and they're like, okay, this is nice. But when they're a little bit older, I'd like to go full gun ho Japan, go to rural Japan. I'm happy to like go to Tokyo and things like that. But I really want to get in like, nah, put me up a mountain, get me far, take me to Japan and put me as far away from people as you can. What an odd thing to do.
Yeah.
But I'll yes to it. I know we're supposed to get through questions, but you've just said loads of interesting stuff. Just on Japan, what was the one thing you thought, yes, this is awesome? I do like, what's the one thing you're talking to people about when you bring up Japan?
I mean, there's so much, but there's probably 2 different sides to Japan that I absolutely loved. So we started off in Tokyo, and then we kind of worked down and we did some countryside up in the hills. Like we went, and I can't remember the place now, but we stayed with the monks up a hill in a monastery. We had meditation, then dinner with them, and then stayed in this like very authentic, very traditional sort of quarters, got up at 5 o'clock to to do like worship with them. That was like incredible. And you have to get like three trains. So there's like the really cool bullet train, then there's like a kind of standard train, then there's literally like a kids toy train that takes you up a hill that's like a vertical. So like the further up you got, the more remote it got. It was just like you literally felt like you were in the middle of nowhere. That was cool.
That's the dream. Like that's genuinely like top 5 holidays. What I say top 5 is probably it's in it's in our collective top 5s between my wife
Yeah.
and I, but it's definitely in my top I want to say 3. I think it's 3rd on my list. We've got a list that we've got to say, okay, in our lifetime, this is where we want to go. The other ones are a little bit more achievable. Like I would like to see the Northern Lights over in Iceland and do that, but which is a bit more achievable. It's not that far, but yes, we'll get there. So,
Yeah.
as varied as your holiday destinations are, I'm going to take you back to the beginning of your career here. So, part of my research for this podcast is to go through basically their LinkedIn page and say, okay, what have we got here? What's happened in the past? Let's see what we can dig out. And because this is all about personal and professional growth, they tie that back to those topics there. So feel free to chime in and give some detail around this. Is that you used to work as in door to door sales as well as in a
Yep.
lighthouse. Now
Yeah.
that sounds awesome, but with door to door sales, right? That is hard. As in you are like sales is hard. Door to door sales
Yep.
hard. Why is it slightly more brutal? Of at least with a phone call, you can go, hey, no, put the phone down. Okay, door to door, the rejection's pretty in front of you.
Mm,
Or
yeah.
and so is the acceptance. The question is, what has with like you as a recruiter, you're working with people all the time. You're having to learn about personalities. You're having to, with most jobs, read rooms. Is what did that beginning, at the beginning of your career, going door to door, having those interactions with people, taught you about reading a room and reading people?
Yeah. So I think it's all about interpretation and people's opinions when it comes to these jobs. So I was young and from the Highlands, and so I had no preconceived ideas about sales or about door-to-door sales or about commission only. So I quit my job. I was working, I'd finished college, and I quit my job as a receptionist because I wanted to do something more meaningful, and quit my full-time job to chap doors on a commission only contract. And I remember people being really like negative about it and thinking that was insane because why would you want to do that? And I could not understand their thought process because I all I could hear was the harder I work, the more money I'm going to make. Why would I not want to do this? I could sit in a reception on minimum wage, which back then was like, I don't know, 4.50 an hour or
I hear
something.
you. I hear you. Yeah.
Or I can go out and make as much money as I like. And I don't know, I know a lot of people have ended up in these, but for those of you who haven't been to one of these interviews, you go into a very slick city centre office. Everybody looks dead friendly and cool, and they've got music playing, and it's all very like, it feels all really cool. And I was just like totally swept up in it. And I thought, I don't understand why would anyone not want to do this? Like, I just totally bought into it. And I think that kind of perception of it being really difficult. I just didn't have that. I just knew like if I chap on 100 doors, 10 people are going to sign up to this whatever I was selling them that day, and that's going to make me £100 a day. And that was just what I thought. So I just thought I just need to speak to 100 people to get 10 sales. Like that, that was it. So I think my mindset was like completely different to most people's just because I didn't have any I didn't have any like kind of not understanding. I just didn't have any preconceived ideas of it. And it's 100% given me like work ethic, understanding of like really being consistent. Like it's every single day turning up, doing the right things, following the right sort of instructions or path. Like you need to be consistent. And I suppose that's where that's come from. So yeah, door to door sales, probably the best job I ever had, Mamba marketing.
So in terms of I say reading a room, how did you interpret? How did you manage to learn quite quickly around what was the either body language, terminology that they were using, interpreting their words, basically,
Mhm.
when something was okay, this is a goer here, or Like, I just need to say thanks for your time and move on.
Yeah. I think you gauge whether somebody is going to like you or not like you within 2 or 3 seconds. And they're either going to politely listen and then be like, this isn't for me, or that you're going to make a sale, or they're not going to be interested and they're going to look other ways and be distracted or slam the door in your face or something. But I think within the first few seconds, you know. And I think it's just really quickly getting, for me, with sales, it's really quickly sort of getting to that point, I suppose. Like, if somebody's not interested, listen, thank you so much for your time. I can see you're not interested in this, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I hope you have a great day. Off you go. And I think that's probably still, it's obviously a very different role that I do now, but that would still be my approach.
That's so I like that, that the qualification of, if it's not going on, keep going on. This, I don't know if you've seen them back. I find them quite comedic on Instagram, where you've got the sort of the hustle bros when someone's saying, "Hey, I'm calling you up here. Are you interested?" They go, "No, thanks." They're like, so what I'm hearing is that you need to hear like what the value that I bring to this product, and they're saying, "No, I
Yeah.
just not interested. No, thank you." And they go, "So what do you mean by no?" And I think
Yeah.
that's those are the worst ones. Like, and
Yeah.
very few. I've met very
Yeah.
few like that, but
And I
yeah,
do get actually now, I get really annoyed if I'm in like a supermarket. And so I did door to door sales, and the people that are in the supermarket, it's the same types of companies. If they come up to you and they'll say, like, um, would you like to give money to whatever charity? And I'll say, like, no, thank you. So you don't want to give money to charity. And they'll be really controversial. And I think, I cannot believe you've just done that to me. Like, that is not allowed. I'm not entering into this with you, but you don't act like
yeah,
that. So I guess it's also just about like being like friendly and, you know, carrying yourself in a certain way. Like, if you carry yourself in a certain way, people aren't going to treat you like that.
yeah. So talking about carrying yourself in a certain way and where you're in a place where you can thrive, you've worked at quite a few like recruiting places and places in sales, from large to boutique, all the rest of that. There are lots of different environments that can mold and shape a person in terms of the different experiences that they've got. For example, if I was to throw myself in here, where the larger the organization, I have found the easier it is to hide and sort of go under the radar. Like, not necessarily for me, but I seem like, oh, you can kind of get away with turning up and being a statistic and moving on. With the smaller boutique ones, you can see have quite, or the opportunity for impact is so much more. Now, across the areas that you've been in, where have you found the transitions to be like? How did you find the transitions from bigger places to smaller places? And where did you notice where you thrived best? And where you did thrive, what were the aspects of you that were able to thrive?
Yeah, so I suppose I feel like in every recruitment role that I've had, I've kind of added a bit of a layer. So working for big global corporates that offer you like structure, training, a real key, this is the sales process and you have to do it every single day. And going back to the door to door sales thing, like getting really consistent, I love all of that. There was a big corporate that I spent like a chunk of my career at, that I sort of got a couple of promotions and had the opportunity to do different things. And I really just like loved I loved working for a big brand. I loved having that sort of competitiveness. Like, it was a big team and everyone was competing, but everyone was also working towards the same goal. So like, I really, really love all that. Mm, I guess within larger corporates, it's completely faceless, and they would be very honest about that. Like, they don't really care about Kerry. They care about Kerry because she's making the money, but it's not about me at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, when I came to 920, Gordon and Chris, who are the my business partners, it's very much about them. Like, they've built this business on their personality and the process, and that it's just so different. At 920, we're very well known for doing a lot of events and thought leadership things, and it's very much about us. And that was completely new to me, because although you do things like that in sort of corporate space, it's not really about you, it's about the organization. I feel like within smaller businesses and within 920, the guys have taught me to be really like really push myself with what opportunities we have and just be a bit more dynamic maybe. And I think for me, this is I would like to think this is where I thrive the most. But I've probably had to, it's been a huge learning curve as well, because I probably am more of a kind of corporate girly, if I'm being totally honest. So that's been a learning curve for me to learn different ways of working. But it's really like accelerated the opportunities that I get as well.
When you talk about learning opportunities, so for those that don't know, like think Bamboo and 920 entered into partnership for fractional roles here. But one of the things that I found really interesting about you that I didn't know at the beginning, but came to my knowledge recently, is that you're asking people like the people within 920 have got these marketing certificates that you're constantly trying to learn. And I thought, okay, that's really, really cool because having been in the past working with so in the past I've been headhunted by certain like companies and I was like, that's lovely. And with all due respect to them, they were a recruiter that would just happen to work in the marketing sector, right? And those parts there, and so they were asking me questions like, okay, what's this mean about SEO? What's this mean about digital and things like, does this role seem like the right one for you? And I was like, right, okay, there's a little bit of learning on both sides that's need to happen here, and I just thought that was the way of it. Like I just thought that was the way of it, and I didn't know any better for that there. So to find that there's actual practitioners in 920 who actually know what they're talking, like it seems like an obvious one now, but I was just saying like, oh, that totally sets them apart. And if you're listening to this as a recruiter going
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that's such an obvious win. Yes, it is an obvious win. And unfortunately, like 920 or now I'm saying like, yeah, they're the guys for it. If you're doing marketing recruitment, go to them because they've got people that actually know about it. So the question is not just to high five 920 for that, was how important to you, like how much did it mean to you that you do have these qualifications behind you to be working in the industry that you're in, if you're recruiting for marketers, having that knowledge to yourself rather than not naming any names, other recruiters that might not take that approach.
Yeah. So I think it helps us with the job that we do, but also with in the business that we run. Like we're a small business and we wear lots of hats and we're naturally quite inquisitive. Technology, marketing, they're areas that we want to be improving. So I guess that's really important too, is we're marketing and tech recruiters. We feel like we should know what we're talking about. Now we would never profess to be experts, and I was recruiting for an SEO role over the last couple of weeks, and I mean that changes month on month at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I understand what I'm looking for and I've got a good knowledge of it. I am attending an SEO event on Tuesday, which is just for like technical SEO people. They've kindly let me go along because I want to have a bit of an understanding. And I just think
Hmm.
people appreciate that you are genuinely interested. And it's not just I'm searching for terms on a Google search or something. So yeah, it really does help. And I think being genuinely interested and genuinely curious, it helps you build relationships with people. Like I'm generally keen to understand the journey, how this looks, and I want to be able to explain it. Um, and then from our business point of view as well, we're going through a website refresh. We work with like web developers and technical people and designers, and we want to really understand like what are you doing, how do you do this, how can we learn to do this, what should we be doing ourselves. So yeah, I guess we really enjoy it, so it's quite easy for us to get stuck into that. But I would always caveat that with like we're not experts, like we like to try and have a good knowledge.
Genuinely, that was a tipping point for me of going like, this is obvious. Like, yes, of course. And that was like, and it's genuinely not to be disparaging across like any other recruiter that I've ever worked with. I just thought that was the way that their job is to find
Yeah.
people who match, like essentially, here are the boxes. Have they got to tick them? Fantastic. Okay. I found someone who can tick the box and is hopefully going to get the job. And that was it. So to hear that actually I've got a marketing recruitment that gets it, like, hey, that's pretty good. So awesome. So talking more
I
about
mean, it's an interesting one as well. I don't know. I would never want to, if I recruited in finance, I don't know if I'd be so enthusiastic. But I feel like technology and marketing is a cool industry to be in, isn't it? Like we talk to interesting people and we're like working with people that are like changing how our industry looks. So I guess it's a bit, well, maybe that's just on me. Maybe people that recruit in accounting want to do that as well. But I don't know if that would be for me. But I feel like tech and marketing is fun.
it's fun and it's it's, for businesses right now, I'd be amazed if it wasn't one of the top of the agenda points each month, especially with AI and what that's going like and how they're adopting it. And suddenly, but businesses that thought they had no business, like, wait, businesses that thought they had no business dealing with tech, or how do we do this with our marketing, are suddenly having to think about, hey, how do we do this? Like, we've got to get on now, or else we will be left behind, even if we are not we could be the best, but actually Johnny down the road has grasped this already, and he does a subpar product compared to us, but everybody's seeing him and they just think we're the go-to. He's the go-to now. And I think it's very exciting right now. I think it's generally, I'm thinking about the last time it felt this good, I'd say, or at least exciting, at least within the SEO space, was around 2011, where they did these updates called the Penguin and Panda update that totally changed the game of how people were, like, how they operated. And so suddenly some SEO agencies and consultants had to, like, they had to change overnight, or else you were going to lose it, like, your
Yeah.
clients and everywhere. And some did, and way to big mouth media back in the day for being one of the good ones and not doing bad things. So they came away relatively unscathed. But to now, where it's the, hey, I mean, what was it today? No, it was last week. This is actually going to date this podcast, where they changed or redesigned the search bar in Google for the first time in 25 years. And I was
Yeah.
like, there we go. There we go. We were around for that. So yes, marketing and technology, absolutely fantastic. It's definitely the one to go. So speaking of the marketing part, you're one of the co-founders of the Scottish Marketing Network. That's, I mean, I could talk to you about that for, that could be an its podcast on its own, outside of just the 920 stuff. I'm always fascinated when someone, you've got a full-time job, you've got hobbies, you've got things you want like that. Let's go do this at the same time.
I
So,
know.
so there's a funny thing about, like, entrepreneurs, and the nothing ever feels too much at the time. Yeah. Anyway, my question to you is around this, is about what was the catalyst for starting that, and what are you hoping to
Yeah.
give back for that? Like, talk to me about it.
Yeah. So I suppose it really is like, as a marketing recruiter, I wish I could tell you some of the cool things that I hear even just today, like that people are up to, that people are doing in Scotland. Like, I think the work that goes on and the talent that we have in Scotland is incredible. And my day is talking to people that are doing all these really cool things. So for me to bring a platform for people to tell these stories, it just felt like a really obvious thing to do. So it started off with bi-monthly events, which we actually just did one last night. And we will get a couple of speakers, a room full of marketing professionals, a few drinks, a few hours, and it's just a really nice, informal kind of peer-to-peer network. There's lots of networks. There's lots of brilliant networks across the marketing scene in Scotland. I think we're really lucky to have some like great networks, but there's not one that is peer-to-peer, no matter of what sort of sector you're in, or no matter what level you're at. It's just marketing people getting together. So that was I felt like a gap in the market. I also wanted to create something where we could have the senior people and the really interesting speakers, and some people who are doing it for the first time. Like, everyone
Yeah,
has to
yeah,
start
yeah.
somewhere, right? So I thought that was it. This was a nice platform to do that. So from that came the podcast. We've been doing the events now for a few years. We then wanted to make it a bit more inclusive and get more people involved and tell more stories. So we started the podcast, because not everybody's up for standing and sitting, talking in front of 100 people. I get that. So we then did that. So we've got the events, podcast, and also a mentor program. So in January, we'll pair people up in quite an informal mentor scheme as well. I just think it's an amazing way for me to give back, and a fairly, don't get me wrong, it's time consuming and it does take a bit of work, but it's a fairly obvious way for me to give back, but also be like adding value to the community. Like, again, similar to us wanting to kind of upskill and learn what we're recruiting for, we also want to be like thought leaders and like really understand our industries. So,
Yeah.
being right in amongst that, that really helps us to do it. So yeah, the Scottish Marketing Network has been incredible. I absolutely love it.
So we didn't talk about this beforehand, and so I don't want to jump at you with something else, but what have you learned about yourself over those times? Because I find like so the only foray I've got into this, right, and this is a very tenuous like link to it, and it might like is hosting gigs and being or like posting gigs or arranging concerts back in the day for the band I was in of trying to get like okay we've got to try and get 300 people here and you've got to do this or else that room is going to be sparse and you're not going to have the best time. And what did you like? So, and I
Yeah.
had to like learn things about myself about like what do I need to do to make this happen? Dealing with people dropping out and all the rest of that there, and how do you recover from that?
hmm
All the rest of that there. Um, been running it for a few years now. What's it taught you about Kerry?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot, and it's definitely evolved a bit, and we're constantly improving it. I would say the first thing I spoke on a panel for CIM with Andrew Dobie from Made Brave, and he had said, if you want to be a thought leader in your space, start a podcast and ask people about it. Like it's an obvious thing to do. And I was like, oh. And I was also a terrible public speaker, speaking beside Andrew Dobie, who's definitely one of the best public speakers. I was like, oh, I hate that I'm on this panel. I'm terrible at this. But he said, he's like, you need to start somewhere. Like, you need to just start and get good at these things. So when we started off, I think the objective of the Scottish Marketing Network was to create a bit of a buzz, get people together, give back, but we probably didn't have like a real clear strategy. Um, we were probably a little bit about the like how many people can we get in a room and how many likes and just all these things that vanity matrix, to be honest. But I would say over time what we've realized is we get like really, really good speakers who are more than willing to give up their time because what we are giving them is a fantastic platform. And I think I kind of felt at the start like, oh, you're doing us a favor and so grateful and that, which I am, and they are, because it's all free. Like everything is, we sort of fund what needs to be funded, but we're not paying anybody. And it's very much like give people giving up their time. But actually, what I've realised is we are in a really good position to do this, and it's really great. It's a really great opportunity for people to, come along, and we get 100 people in a room for them to talk about their sort of points of interest and their expertise. I've definitely learned to like back ourselves a little bit more and be a bit more specific about what we're doing and who, and really intentional with it, rather than just trying to create a noise.
That's well, first of all, 100 people is no small feat at all. Like so, congratulations for that. 'Cause I'm thinking I could do that.
Thank you.
Try and even just get your friends and family along to a few things. It can be like herding cats. People are going to drop out. There's got a dentist appointment they forgot about at 8 p.m. that night, and you're like, really, a dentist? Okay, okay, fine, all that stuff. So fair play to you there. And I think you're absolutely spot on about being intentional for that and saying like, this is what this event is. Because I mean, we spoke at one last night, and they're doing a very similar thing about very intentional with their audience. And I've been to the ones that are when you try to be something to everyone, you're nothing. And that's what's like, and that's a hard one
Yeah.
to learn. And but congratulations to you for doing that. So to bring this back
Thank
to
you.
recruitment, um, again, my foray into this is it's been quite a few years. So, however, the ones that I've spoken with, or at least the ones that I resonated with, cared about me, or it felt like they cared about me, and that they were genuinely saying, "Okay, I'm here to help you," and try to learn that rather than the broader one I was talking about before, where it's like, "Okay, I'm ticking a box and
Yeah.
away we go," and that's okay. That was genuinely like 8 out of 10 of them. That was the way it was, but the two there. However, I'm aware that that is a time suck. It's a lot of
Uh-huh.
yourself that you're giving, and with any new relationship, you kind of got to feel them out. And where how do you for something you're having to give so much of yourself, learn about others, how do you protect like your own boundaries and know like, okay, in one sense, this is a transaction, but you are doing something that can, eh, and this is not hyperbolic here at all, sometimes saving their lives, changing their lives, doing something that can set them up on the road to do like wonderful, save a family, save their house, anything like that, depending on the situation. So I have to hold them in quite high regard. But how do you protect your own boundaries, and how do you balance
Yeah.
the human-centered approach with the transactional side?
So I think a little bit of what we spoke about really being intentional in what you're doing. So I recruit in Scotland for marketing and communications people, quite a wide variety, but it tends to be in-house B2B marketing managers. You might be 30 to 80K. That's probably about 80% of what I do. So having real, like, being really honest about that. So if somebody comes to me, graphic designers, we place one graphic designer a year. So if somebody comes to me, I'd say, look, I'll be really honest. Like, if something comes up, I'll let you know, but I'm not going to waste your time. We don't do an awful lot in that space. I'll definitely keep a hold of your details. So I think just that sort of qualification piece. And then I think remembering that it is people that you're dealing with. I think sometimes when I hear horror stories, if you like, people love to tell me about how bad recruiters are. Like, that's everybody's favorite thing to do, is tell you, I had this terrible recruiter on the phone. I'm like, oh, what did they do this time? But just remember that you're dealing with a human being. Imagine that's your partner or your child or your mum. Like, yeah, it's business, it's a transaction, but it's also a human being. And it always, doing the right thing is always going to be the best for you, sort of morally and financially. There's times where, you might have to go the long way around, you might have to work a bit harder, you might have to say no to something, you might have to walk away from something. Um, but if you're doing the right thing, it's always going to be the right thing for your business. Probably about 90% of my business is on referral. So it's people that are referred on to me, or it's people that I've used before. So they have to trust me. And I don't think that they would if they thought I didn't care. So yeah, I think you need to just get in your lane and really care about it. And I suppose that's what makes I think that's what makes a good recruiter stand out.
So you said something there that's quite interesting there, and I've spoken with like other like business leaders in there, and it's all like I find it interesting to hear like, okay, what they said yes to, successful engagements, all the rest of that. I'm also equally interested in the ones that they chose to walk away from, or for what, like, they don't have to give like names or anything like that, but what the criteria is for that qualification, because the wrong one can set you back. If you go into the wrong engagement
Yeah.
here and you've lost your time, you've lost that, like it's all of that. I don't need to repeat other stories
Yep.
that have told the past, but I'd love to know for Kerry, like, what are the qualification parts to say like this is something that we would be interested in or that you're interested in, and what are the parts that go, you know what, this is not for us. Mention the graphic designer. Okay, we don't place a lot of those other parts there. What about for someone that is potentially like on paper, yeah, I'm a solid marketer, but what would make it not be?
I wouldn't choose to work with them. Um Honesty is pretty much what it always comes down to. Now, also, people will not always have the CV that they want, so people will be, they'll try and paint pictures. That's not necessarily like wrong. People are embarrassed about something, or they'll try and sort of make something look a bit better than it is. That's a natural thing that I have to just be able to identify. But if somebody's being like dishonest, if there's a pattern of like kind of bad behavior in any way, um then we wouldn't work with them. More so, you don't really say no, or I wouldn't really have many times that I would have to say no to working with a job seeker. Other than that sort of qualification space, so people know what I do, and I would just be really honest. Like, I'm probably not the best person to speak to, but I can put you on to somebody. But if there's somebody that I can like work with, it's rare that we would say like we couldn't work with you. The only time people would get like, I guess, like scratched off the books if they let down a client, if they didn't turn up for an interview, if they didn't represent us in a way that we wanted them to represent us. But I'll be honest, again, like marketing people in Scotland, they're dead nice. That doesn't really happen. What I do have to say no to is clients, customers, which in a tricky market is not a fun thing to do. But I really feel that it's like recruitment is a two-way street. And if I'm speaking to a client that thinks they're going to sit at the boardroom table and have somebody like squirm and this is what I want and my expectations are this and I'm not wanting to pay the market rate and these types of things, like I'm just not entertaining that. Like I want somebody to work as hard to get the hire as that person's going to work to try and get the job. So that's the sort of people that we would say no to if we felt like they weren't really committed to, finding the best hire, then that would be where we'd have an issue.
I'm totally with you on that. There's like, so we've had our fair share of going, like, we've had been really fortunate. I'm like, hey, this has been absolutely awesome, and there's been our fair share of going, like, oh man, we needed to be better on the vibe check test is where I've said, like, look, this is where we need to get to. So I'm like, okay, do they qualify? This and the other bits here, and this has taken like some time to absolutely nail down, streamline for us. I think we've got it pretty till now, until the next 6 months, 7, 8 months, where I go, nope, we need to fine tune it again. We need to get tighter. But for now, this is where we're at. And that's where I want to talk about the person behind it, not just the business, not just their ambitions there. I want to go like, okay, I want to know the person here. Who am I dealing with? Am I getting someone? And they might go, are we not ready to just go forward? I'm like, when, like, genuinely, when we are, like, yes, but if there's any niggling doubt, then it's got to be a no. Like, I've forgotten who said it to me worse, but it was hire slow, fire fast, that type thing. And I was like, okay, but what about with clients that you're bringing on? And sometimes they can say all the right things, and you get to the first little bit, and I'm going, oh, this is kind of changing here. Could we not have seen? How did I not foresee this? How can I
Yeah,
not see this? Like, I'd like to think I'm a pretty good judge of character, and yet the overall overwhelming feeling I've got right now is sort of one of being like hoodwinked a little bit and going like,
yeah,
ah, right, okay, well, how do we not see this? I mean, like 7 out of the 10 things they said, absolutely bang on true. These three, but one of them's a bit of a clanger. And that's where I go like, okay, there's a need to be a bit more of a character assessment on who we're working with. Might take 2 or 3
yeah.
conversations, but once I've got there and I'm good, I'm like, okay, we've got a good egg. we can we can crack on there, and it saves us. It might be frustrating on their end. So far, the people that have been okay with it have been like, "Yep, absolutely. This is like we get it. We feel the same way." And for those that get a bit frustrated with the process, might not tell me at the time, uh, can we just crack on now? We believe in you. Why are you not believing in us? I'm like, because I have a feeling that you might turn around and change the goalposts on week 2, and I just want to make sure that's not going to happen. So I'm all with you in terms of
Yeah, you need to test them a bit, don't you? And I think like giving a bit of accountability to your clients as well, like that's they're entering into a partnership. Like, what are you going to do here? And just, getting that accountability from clients will hopefully alleviate these things.
exactly. Well, Kerry, I'd like to take you back to we said about the door to door sales and the lighthouse. We didn't actually get into that. I didn't actually go into that. We went straight to the door to door sales there. Tell me about the
I know.
lighthouse. What was the
So
lighthouse?
that's so it's a so I'm from Ardnamurchan, and it's Ardnamurchan Lighthouse. There's like a cafe and a gift shop, and you get tours up the lighthouse. So it was just like a kind of after school job, but quite an interesting one because it's that lighthouse.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess like on the kind of work thing, there's a few things. Like, I mean, I'm like deeply proud of my roots, and I'm very patriotic and coming from the West Coast. So that's definitely like part of like my DNA. But also, like, I've worked since I was 13. Like, I've always sort of been encouraged to, if you want to do something, then you need to have your own money. And I suppose that like work ethic, drive, having to, earn, that's yeah, I've been busy doing that since I was like 13. So yeah, that's the lighthouse. It sounds a lot more, you probably imagine like, I don't know, something a bit more technical or something, but no, it was a
I just imagine like so. I mean, just because this is the way my imagination works. Like I saw a lighthouse, I was like, oh, class. So you've got this big coat on, a big furry hood, and you've got to go up there, and you're going up in the middle of the night, and you're shining the light down, and everyone's like, yes, Kerry saved the boat, and so I was like, yes, that was class.
So people did do that. Like the lighthouse keepers did do that. My papa had that job when he retired from the police, and he was the lighthouse keeper for like 20 years or something, and that's what he would do, go up and down the lighthouse. And yeah, so there are people that do that, but no, I just worked in the cafe and got people coffees.
My papa was also in the police.
Was
We'll just
he?
yeah, both called Papa, both in the police. Aye, in
I
the
know that's
what should I
pretty
say,
that's pretty unique.
the 50s through to the oh, how old was he? How old was he? Yeah, from like the 50s through to the
Like
late 80s,
80s?
early 90s. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking when he retired. I mean, he was definitely older. He probably should have called time on it, but he was a bit of a. I love my papa. I mean, I saw a different side to him. I hear the stories about him, and I go like, "Oh man, he sounds like he was ready to batter everyone." And I'm like, "Okay, just simmer down." And my mum's like, "Yeah, he was a bit, yeah, a hard man about the town." And I was like, "Oh well, he probably might be a little bit disappointed by his grandson of how he turned out there." But yes, the sorry, I got totally sidetracked there by Lighthouse. I was keen to get onto that. Going back to the beginning days, I was 13 years old, and knowing everything that you know now, and the peaks and troughs, everything that you've taken on from event management to 920 and all sorts. What advice, if you would give any, what would you say to
Yeah.
baby Kerry?
So I think I've learned this from younger people that I work with today is that they do not sit around and wait for the time where it's your time to be successful. Like I think when I was graduating, or I did college, I didn't finish, I didn't go to uni, but like completed college, went to work, there was this sort of expectation that you follow a certain path that takes a certain amount of time. And I think the generation today are so much more driven to just go and do it. Like I work with people that I cannot believe how successful they are at a young age, and it didn't even enter my head that I should be taking myself seriously at that age. Part of me is quite glad I didn't, because I just did a lot of fun. But I think, like, sort of professionally, I just would not have taken myself serious at 25, because I felt like the person that needed to be taken seriously then was a older director, probably male. Like I was just like learning and there was a pecking order and I should just join it. And so I think it would be to take, I could have worked a lot harder, a lot quicker, and got a lot further if I had taken myself a bit more seriously when I was younger. And I think that the younger generation that quite often gets slammed and people talk about being dead lazy, like I don't see that at all. I think they're so smart and so forward thinking, and I think that we could learn a lot from them. So yeah, that's the advice I would give myself.
There on the taking yourself more seriously part, because uh, I've been in this for a while and I sort of in and out. So it was like I'm doing it again. I'm making a joke of how does he manage to shoehorn in this fact to every podcast? And it's just because it seems relevant. I used to be an actor. And so I was an actor for 4 years and in amongst all that. And it's like, oh, yeah, you used to be that. You're not there anymore. So stop it. But throughout that time, I would be writing, freelance writing. And the writing I was doing for was for digital agencies. That was the ones that were hiring, and one was for Big Mouth Media. And it was a lovely little side gig. Like they pay me like I don't mind saying it now because it's so long ago, like 15 quid for an article. And I was like, wait a minute, I could do 3 of these a day. And I'm on a tour bus and I'm like, sweet, this is cool. I can write this up and keep going there. So when I came fully into digital, I said like actually this acting malarkey is not for me. I want to do this instead. Uh, I was absolutely on like you said it there. I'll just don't join the pecking order. You're there. Don't just that listen. That's 100% what I did. Like even though I took it seriously. It was like I'd properly gone back into myself of like, shut up and listen. Like, no, 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 no. There's no, but like, you got some belief in yourself? There's also a Scottish thing, right? Of, all right, you got a bit of confidence there. How can we batter that out of you and we'll get like know
Yeah,
your lane? And so I was like, right,
yeah,
okay, don't say anything, let it go. Okay, that guy is to me so wise beyond their years. And it's like, how old are you? I'm 31. I'm like, wow. How please tell me the way of the world now. And I'm like, actually, no, you probably could have got there a little bit quicker if you had not just succumbed to this is your lane, stay into it. And I've seen it the same with the generation for us that I've interviewed through us. I'm going, actually, there's a lot of chutzpah.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of drive, like a lot of drive and a lot of initiative. I'd say some initiative to just go like,
yeah,
yes, I've gone to like, oh, I needed to learn about that. So I did rather than
yeah.
going,
Yeah, where I think sometimes, because social media makes everything so available and you can see everything, I think the initiative and the drive and the enthusiasm and questions and just having no boundaries, like I absolutely love that. I think what is difficult and what makes young people stand out in the job market just now is the consistency. I think everybody wants to do it, everybody sees it, everybody hears a story of this person that's done this, this, and this, and they make it sound dead easy, and then people think it's dead easy, and it could be, but it's about being consistent and working hard. So I think that's the kind of little bit where people think, "Oh, why has this not happened yet?" Because, this person on Instagram, it looked different. Probably not Instagram, TikTok now, isn't it? But
Yeah.
you know my point.
Yeah. Well, here, so at the end of all these sessions, what I'd like to do is give the opportunity to say like a thank you, give kudos to people that have helped you in your career, because usually it takes a village to get someone to a successful position. Rarely I see that it's just like, it was all me. I did it all. No thanks to anybody else. That's not really the case. Over to you in terms of, is there anybody that you would like, or a group of people, it don't have to just be one person, that you'd like to say thank you to?
Yeah. So there's probably a couple, just maybe starting off actually with some of the people that have worked for me, that have come like grads or people early in their careers that have a different way of working have taught me a lot. So there's a few people that I've worked with over the last few years that have been in my team that I think I've learned as much from them as they've learned from me. Um, and that's something that's been really useful for me as a leader. I think getting to that's I think the point where you learn how to become a leader is when you get that from your team. So I would say I've learned a lot from people working for me. But my sort of peer group, if you like, most of my best friends, we all work together in an agency in different divisions and things. It's not like kind of one friendship group, but they were recruiters either in the same agency or across the road in the same industry. And it was very much like kind of peer to peer. And I think we've all had ups and downs at different stages. We've all supported one another. We've all not let ourselves down, but like, made bad decisions and then learnt from that. But I think probably the kind of the peer to peer folk, when I think about um, the people that I've learnt the most from and that I'm like really grateful to are still in my life and have been for 15 years, are folk that, do the job alongside me and we just really like learn and support one another.
Lovely. That's really nice. No, it's just good to like mention out like, hey, look, there's the younger people that you're learning from. Because usually when people I say like, is there anybody else you give kudos to? They go like, oh yeah, it was like either a mentor or a manager that they've had in the past, and you're the first person to go. Actually, it's like the people, the younger ones that have come through. I was like, oh, that's really nice to have that there.
Yeah.
Well, here, thank you so much for your time, Kerry. To wrap up, where can people find you online, and what is next for you?
What is next for me? Well, I'm in year 2 of growing a business, so this is a very boring answer, but the plan is keep doing more of the same for the next year or two and go from being like, things are going good, but we just need to have like a nice, steady kind of couple of years and really sort of grow that brand and that business. So all you will see from me for the rest of this year and probably next is more of the same. Like 920 Recruitment is all about like marketing, technology, like really leading the way with innovations with our kind of fairly core client base in Scotland. We've got no plans to take over the world. We just want to do a really great job for the people that we're working for. And then the Scottish Marketing Network again, I think we've had a fantastic few events and podcast is going really well. Love the mentoring. Just keeping that going and keeping sort of adding to it. So I think dead boring, but just more of the same is what I'm hoping for over the
You
next sort of
say
year or two.
dead boring. You, what are you doing? Oh, I'm growing my business. I'm running a podcast. I'm running the events and then marketing.
Yeah. Hopefully going
All
on
right.
race across the world. Hopefully going on
Yeah.
race across
Oh,
the
yeah.
world.
That's awesome. That's quite a lot. So I think you're going to be busy. Well, here, thank you so much to you, Kerry. And thank you for once again listening, watching. I am truly grateful for it. So thank you very much for your time. And we will